Welcome to the Whissel Way podcast. My name is Kyle Whissel, your host with eXp Realty in San Diego. Today, I am joined by the number one agent in Whissel Realty Group, Mr. Adrian Quijano. What's up, man?
What's up, dude?
We haven't done one together yet, have we?
4 years later.
We're doing one because you've done them when I'm out of town and Brian interviews you.
Yeah. But
now we're doing one together. But today, you're going to interview me.
Yeah. No, 100%. We're gonna.
You're like, I'm picking your freaking brain, man.
I'm gonna take this opportunity for sure.
Cool. Well, guys, if you're watching the show, if you ever have a question you want to have us answer on a future episode of the show, you can always go to thewhisselway.com. You can ask us questions on there. Subscribe to the podcast and YouTube channel. You can join our referral network for all the people that are leaving California. We're sending like 5 to 10 referrals a week out right now. Also, if you're looking to get some tips and tricks of what we're working on internally here at Whissel, you can go get in our private Facebook group and our email newsletter. And lastly, if you're looking to level up your content creation game, whether that be audio, video, social, all that stuff is at thewhisselway.com. All right, bro, let's jump into it. I know you got a lot of questions, and we got like 30, 40 minutes here to get through these. So let's jump in.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So, Number one. So I'm going to talk about mindset and real estate a little bit in the beginning. Yeah. And so those are the type of question I'm going to ask. So what daily habits you would recommend or routines that contributed most to your success in real estate?
For sure. I think it all starts with the morning. If you can win the morning, it's a whole lot easier to win the day. And so I'm very, very structured. I do the same thing every morning. There's no variation, no deviation from that at all. So I set my alarm to wake up at 5 a.m. And if you're listening to this, watching this, you're probably like, man, that's freaking early. There's no way I could do that. I used to think the same thing. I used to wake up at 7 o'clock, but I used to go to bed at like 11 o'clock. Well, guess what happens? If you want to wake up at 5 o'clock and instead of 7 o'clock, just go to bed 2 hours earlier. So instead of going to bed at 11 o'clock, go to bed at 9 o'clock. You're going to get the same amount of sleep. And you're going to replace 2 super unproductive hours between 9 and 11. Like, what productive thing are you actually doing between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m.? Like, there's virtually nothing productive, right? Like, you're either watching trash TV, you're going out eating, drinking. Like, you're just not doing anything positive from 9 to 11. So when you replace those 2 negative hours with 2 positive hours, being 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., that's like where I get to win the morning. And so I wake up at 5. I listen to a message from Darren Hardy every day. It's called Darren Daily. Darren Hardy, huge fan, not a real estate guy, just a amazing coach. And so I get a little motivational message from him every morning. And then I get dressed, I get ready, I hop in the gym. I have a friend that I check in with every morning, work out until usually about 6 o'clock. Take a shower. By the time I'm done with the shower, the family's starting to wake up. So then I get to spend some time with the family every morning, hang out, make breakfast. I take my kids to school every morning. I have the same thing for breakfast every morning and just stick to like that really, really solid morning routine. So by the time 8:15 rolls around, it's like I've already gotten some motivation. I've worked out, I've showered, I've spent time with the family, had a healthy breakfast, and I'm on my way to the office. And just winning that, like, in the first thing in the morning just sets the tone for the rest of the day.
That's awesome. It's crazy because you've already done so much more than 90% of people out there. And I totally understand because like I would wake up 5:30 in the morning every single day and I would work out, I would pray, I would, journal, I would look at my goals. Like it's very similar habits that you have. No, I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So how do you handle setbacks back in your career? Like rejections, falling out of escrows, or not getting the listing appointment, or not getting the listing agreement signed?
So somebody asked me recently, like, what's my superpower? And I've actually realized, like, one of my superpowers, I have zero fear of failure. Like, it doesn't cross my mind. I don't think about it. Even when I do fail, it doesn't faze me. If anything, it just motivates me. So I have when you don't fear failure, you just come into situations with such a different mindset. And it's so much easier to win. But when you come into anything, whether it's in a negotiation or into a relationship, whatever the case is, if you're constantly worried about failing, right? If it's you're trying to impress a guy or a girl and you're worried like, oh, well, I hope they like me. I hope they like, you're not going to be like your authentic self. and you'll probably lose more often than not, because I think when you try to be something that you're not, that becomes a lot harder than if you just stay true to who you are. And same thing in negotiation. When you go into it and you don't care if you lose, you rarely lose. It's when you're worried about losing that you lose, because it's in the back of your mind the entire time. You're constantly thinking about it and you're stressed out. And like, weird scenario, I bought 2 cars yesterday. My wife and I both decided like the cars we had weren't serving our needs currently, so we needed new cars. And I just went in 2 negotiations, dominated the negotiations, got exactly what I wanted, was more than happy to walk away. I wasn't emotionally attached to the vehicles or, that particular dealership, and just laid it out. Here's my terms. If you meet them, we'll do a deal. And if not, I'm totally okay. And when you can go into negotiations knowing like, I don't need this, it's fine, then you win the negotiation more often than not. So I think just the right mindset is the key. And then whenever you do fail, just understanding, right, that whole saying like fail forward is so true. Like if you do fail on something, then you just do kind of a forensic audit, figure out why you failed and what can you learn from that, so that same mistake never happens again.
So basically what you're saying, having a positive attitude and in some ways having a high emotional intelligence, like EQ.
I think it's huge. Yeah.
So just like going in there like to win, like you're gonna get the listing, you're gonna kill it, you have that mentality of like winning instead of like worrying about like you're gonna fail or you're not gonna get the listing.
Yeah, and I think I have a really good level of control over my emotions. I don't get very emotional about much. I mean, you've known me for years now. Like I don't get emotional, like which could be so good and bad, right? Like I mean, I will fire people and not even like I've fired my sister one time, and I think she got mad at me because I didn't get emotional when I fired her. Like, she was like, "What? Why are you not like? What's wrong with you? Why are you not crying?" I'm like, "I don't know. This just wasn't a fit. Like, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that." So my lack of emotions can be really good. I put a lot of energy and effort into trying to understand other people's emotions, though. So that's where the EQ comes in. I think EQ is more important than IQ. So emotional 100%. Intelligence, I think, is wildly important to understand other people, where they're coming from, what motivates them, what demotivates them, all of that.
I love that. Did you get rid of the Cybertruck?
Cybertruck's gone.
Oh,
the Cybertruck is officially gone. Well, when I got that truck, it was originally like a 6-month thing. And then I ended up liking it more than I expected, so I kept it longer than I expected. But it's at a point now where there's too much drama surrounding it, and for me, I mean, I'd say at least a dozen times I've had people either flip me off or come up next to me and scream and yell at me, tell me how they feel about me, Elon, the truck, whatever. I've recently had multiple friends locally here in San Diego have their trucks vandalized, and I've had friends who are in the business who've had clients, tell them they have no intention of working with them in the future, get negative reviews. We had somebody go on our socials and say I'm a Nazi, like crazy shit like that. And for me, I'm like, it's not worth it. I don't need it. I don't again, non-emotional. I don't need any of that in my life. So let me just get rid of it. And then let me get something that serves where me and my family are at. And so got a new Sierra Denali electric. It's badass and I love it. And so I won't think twice, right? It's gone. It was fun. It was a fun adventure. Move on and stay focused. I don't need distractions, right? Yeah. Like I don't like anything in my life that's going to distract me from like where I'm going. And it started to become a distraction, and I just got to get rid of it.
Yeah, that's tough. I know you love that truck.
It's fun. It was a good time.
But time to move on. I still have my Tesla though.
Yeah, so. I mean, imagine walking out to your truck and there's a swastika on your truck, and you got to explain to your 8-year-old what that means. Like, see, I just don't need that shit. Like, I'm not here for
tough.
that. And one of my good friends, we both got our trucks wrapped at the same time, and that happened to his truck. And it's like, see, I just don't need that. You're probably
next. I just Luckily, you got rid of it. And plus, like, it's so out there, right? Like, the truck is always out there in the parking lot over here. You don't want that negative attention for sure. All right. Well, without, you've known me for 4 years now. It's been a journey. You've seen me grow professionally and personally. You've been a mentor of mine, and you've helped me a lot. So, besides talking about me, like, what do you think is a top 1% mindset? Like the top agents that you worked with in the past, currently right now, the agents that you have. Like, what do you think is that commonality that they have that most agents don't?
Yeah, I think it's just a level of motivation that allows people to push through the good times, the bad times, where people are not fazed by those things. So really having like a super clear why, like why are you doing what you're doing? Obviously, you and I've had some deep conversations about that, right? And I think it was your grandma who was telling you like you're the one, right? Like you're the one in this family that's going to change this family's legacy forever. So you have such a deep why, and you know your why, and you understand it, and that's in your head all the time. When you face that adversity, when you go through those tough times, you anchor back to that, right? To your grandma telling you you're the one, and you want to fulfill that prophecy that she's laid out there, and nothing's going to stop you. And so people that are tied to their why like that for you, I think is huge. And then second is people that are just disciplined, that just put the work in, day out, whether they're having a good day, a bad day, they feel good, they don't feel good. It's sunny, it's rainy, it's snowing, none of that, it doesn't change anything. You just put the work in, you show up every day. One of the things that I've come to a realization with recently is that the thing that most people ran away from when they got into real estate, which is they're running away from like a structured 9-to-5 type day, is the thing they actually need the most. So most people are working some sort of corporate job where they had to show up at 9 o'clock, they had to do these activities until 5 o'clock, and they clock out and go home. If people would actually do that in this industry and just show up every day and work from 9 to 5 and do a specific set of activities during that time, they'd be wildly successful. Where they get off the rails is they don't have no structure. They just show up when they want, they leave when they want, they do what they want while they're here, and that does not work. So the people that come in and work a very structured day, I think is huge, and people that stick to it and stay disciplined. So I would say those are probably the two biggest things.
Like I always say, if your why doesn't make you cry, it's not big enough, right?
100%, dude. And I love your why.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing. Of course, I told you not to talk about me, but you ended up doing it anyway. Today it's about you. So
you don't get to just be the interviewer, man.
No, I appreciate that. So tell me, let's go back. There's a question that came into my mind, so let's go back to where you first started in real estate. Tell us about that. How did it look like for you when you first started, and how did you get yourself over the hump, and then to get the business up and running? Yeah,
so there's a couple different phases of getting into it. First was buying my first property, which I did before I was licensed. So while I was in college, my dad kept pushing me. He's like, you got to buy something, you got to buy something, you got to buy something. I was like, Dad, all I do is scoop popcorn at the movie theater. I was like, there's no way they're giving me a loan. And he was like, here's a mirror, just fog this mirror, they'll give you a loan. And so I fogged a mirror. You guys didn't really fog a mirror, but you get the point, right? You didn't have to do anything. We said I was a manager at the movie theater, which I was, and they just gave me a loan for $500,000 when I was 20 years old. And then I ended up selling that property a few months later, and I made $17,000. I still have a copy of the check. I netted $17,000 from that.
Wow.
And I was scooping popcorn. I think I just got like a nickel an hour raise. And then I got a $17,000 check. And I was like, okay, Dad, let's talk about this real estate thing. Because I never wanted to get into real estate. My dad was super busy all the time. I didn't have the most positive associations with him being a realtor growing up. But then I got a $17,000 check, and $17,000 in college is a freaking ton of money. And so initially I jumped in with him and just learned from him. He was my mentor for a long time. But it got to the point where my dad was telling me to print listings out and then put a Post-it note over the other agent's name, then stamp our name on it, and then fax it to clients. And I was like, Dad, we can't be doing this. This was the mid to late 2000s. Like 2005, 6, 7, 8 in there. And he's literally telling me to fax properties to clients with a Post-it note and a stamp on it. I was like, it just got to when I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I was like, all right, Dad, I'm gonna go do my own thing. And I shifted from commercial to residential because I wanted the more consistent, stable income of residential versus commercial, where you're closing a deal every month or every quarter. So that volatility didn't work for me. So I wanted more consistency. And then I jumped over to the residential side. And then even from day one on the residential side, I've started with an assistant from day one. Like I've never worked a day of my life in residential real estate without an assistant, right? There's that saying, if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. So I've run that way for a long time. Started out with just me and an assistant. Then I had a couple agents that didn't work out. And then I finally like dove in and hired 10 agents. And lost my ass off when I hired all those agents because I hired all the wrong people. We were just trying to fill seats on the bus. We weren't worried about who we were putting on the bus, just trying to fill it. And then when I finally figured out how to hire the right people, get the right avatar of who's a fit for our culture, obviously, culture is huge for us now. Once we started figuring out the right people to hire, that's when we really hockey sticked. And we went from 82 transactions to 242 transactions in 1 year.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what tell me a little bit more like the hiring process. Like, how did you know, what did you learn from hiring the wrong people? And then like, how did you find the right people? Like, can you give us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. I mean, we learned that when somebody tries to log in their email and they can't even log into their email address, and we're at that point, we're very heavy with online leads.
Wow.
You can't hire somebody who can't log into their email account and expect them to do really well with online leads. So again, I was just putting anybody on there. So I think I had people that were 20 years old and people that were 120 years old. And not that somebody that's older can't be successful. It's just we're not the right fit for them, right? Yeah. Our culture and our business model, especially at that time, which was way more internet lead heavy, it's just not a fit for somebody who's 120 and doesn't know how to log into their email account. So we started to figure out like who is the right fit, and then we just went really, really focused on that. One of the things, I took a class with Keller Williams it used to be called Recruit Select, then it was called Career Visioning. I don't know if it's still called that or not, but I took multiple classes to learn how to hire. And those were very, very helpful, and they gave me an exact process. Like I'm the kind of guy, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I think, and we go back to like, the previous question, like, the people that just run the play that's called, that just follow the plan, do really well. The people that try to like make up all their own shit all the time and audible everything are the ones that struggle. So I was like, oh, Keller Williams has this really cool class on how to like attract and retain talent. Like maybe I should just take that. And then I just followed the plan. I just ran the play that was called. And that was really, really helpful. So it gave me an exact process of which interviews to do, what to say on the interviews. And that was huge for me. So I think that's a big thing of having an actual process that you utilize. And Keller Williams will let you take, I don't know if they still do, but they'll let you take their classes. You pay for them, but you don't have to be with them to take their classes. And so that's how I learned to recruit. That's
awesome, man. Yeah, if you don't know how to use your laptop or your email, that's going to be tough, especially in this age right now, 2025.
More so now, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you think we have like now the amount of tech we use, but even then, just getting somebody to log in, I mean, they couldn't even log into their Gmail account. Like it was wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a computer back in the day, so it took me maybe when I was 19 years old. That's when I got my first computer in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so what are some of your personal and professional challenges? Like your biggest mistakes in life, and what did you learn from that?
Yeah, I mean, biggest mistakes in life. I went to jail when I was 20. Same time I bought my first property, and went to jail the same year.
I don't think I know about that.
Yeah, I made some bad choices. So I ended up going to jail. I got charged with 3 felonies. Made some terrible decisions. Just trying to find a way to work around things and trying to manipulate the system. So I qualify for Mensa. I have this like crazy off the charts IQ. Which can be really good, but it also forces me that I need to be challenged all the time. And so it has me constantly trying to figure things out and figure out how things are connected. And maybe there's a place where there's opportunity for me to game the system. And I got caught doing that. So I went to jail. I got charged with 3 felonies. The biggest turning point that I ever had in my life was I had to stand before a judge, and the judge said, you're charged with this, this, and this. All 3 are felonies. Each carries a maximum sentence of 5 years for a total of 15 years. How do you plead? Like imagine that, standing in front of a judge, and there's a bailiff behind you the bailiff doesn't know what the decision is. He's just going to do what the judge tells him. And so he's there like ready to handcuff me, take me away. Luckily, we had a plea agreement, and I got off on time served and a paid restitution and did community service and all this stuff. But that moment of standing in front of that judge, like realizing that everything I had done to that point, like I was on a full ride scholarship at UCSD, everything, and it was all could be stripped away in a moment like that because of a bad decision. And so I used that as a big turning point in my life to take all that like need for creativity and need for connecting dots and putting things together and finding better ways of accomplishing things. I just took that from that negative mindset that I had before of trying to manipulate systems to a more positive way. And that's I think what's made me so successful is I needed that because I kept doing worse and worse and worse stuff. I used to shoplift and steal from cars and do all kinds of dumb shit. And that was like that turning point for me. Like hearing 15 years was like, this is not me. This is not who I want to be. It's not the life I want. So that was a big turning point in my life to go in the right direction. And so now I get that same stimulation, but in a much more positive manner by building this crazy business that we built.
That's crazy. I don't think I heard that story before. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for every breakdown, there's a breakthrough, you know? And I think that was probably one of your breakdowns and realization that, hey, you know what? I gotta unfuck myself.
Yeah, this is not who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Like when you go to jail and you're looking around, you're like, I'm not these people. Like this is not who I am. I don't belong here. But it was good, right? They do those shows like Scared Straight on. They used to do that on like talk shows and stuff back in the day. And like that was my Scared Straight moment of like, all right, I need to get it on the straight and narrow. Like this is not it. It's not the life I want.
Yeah, I know how that feels. You know, I had my fair shares of jail time.
Had some adventures.
Yeah, for sure. And then it's funny, you make those mistakes, and you know for somehow, some way, you learn your lesson, and then you be better after that. You know.
Hopefully, not everybody.
Hopefully, not everybody, but I think if we have going back to our whys, right? Like you know what? Hey, I don't want to fuck shit up and fuck up my why. I want to be better. I want to grow. Speaking of our whys, I don't even know what your why is. So what is your why? So
mine stems from when I lost my mom way too early. She passed away when she was 47. It was 47 or 57 years old. From cancer. And there was a moment where like she was on her literal deathbed, like on hospice in her living room, like knowing she's going to die in a matter of days. And so seeing her there made me think about like, God willing, that's how I go. I'd rather go that way than, something more tragic. So God willing, I get to sit in a bed and have my family around me when my time comes. But when I'm in that bed, like what are the thoughts that I want to go through my head? And the last thing I ever want to do is be in that bed and have thoughts of, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have tried that. I wish I would have gone to this place. I wish I would have done this. Like, I don't ever want to be in that bed and have those thoughts. And that's what fuels me to leave everything I have on the table every single day, because I don't know if tomorrow's going to happen. And so I want to make sure that at the end of every day that I picture myself in that bed knowing that I did everything I've wanted to do up to that point. And so I just leave it all on the table every single day.
That's deep, man. I can see you getting teary up. Kyle Whissel, guys. I think I saw some tears. Okay.
There's some emotion in there.
Yeah, there's some emotions in there. I thought you were just cold stone
Not
killer.
Not a complete robot.
Yeah. Somebody always calls me a robot. You already know. So let's change gear a little bit. What about social media?
Yeah.
What do you think about social media relating to generating leads? Like, what are your thoughts about that? Like, do you think it's a good idea to put a lot of time on social media? Do you think it's a good source of leads, or is just something that's more of a branding thing?
I have strong opinions on this. I think that we've gone way too far media and we haven't gone enough social. So the name is social media, and it actually wasn't even called social media originally. It was social networking previously is the name for it. I feel like right now there's way too much of a focus on creating media and not on actually being social. And one of the things that I thought Gary Vee came up with this thing called the $1.80 strategy. And it's like, just every day, go give 90 people your 2 cents, right? Just say something to 90 people and actually be freaking social. I think that there's so many people that are way too focused on creating media and getting likes and getting followers and all of that stuff that they're not thinking about actually being social. In fact, they're creating videos and they get all these people that will comment on their videos, like their videos, and they don't ever even acknowledge them. Think about like if you walked into a party, you got a new suit on, and somebody's like, "Oh, Adrian, nice suit," and you just kept walking. And just say, yeah, that's fuck you. Like, that's basically what you're doing when you don't respond. When somebody's like, oh, like I just posted, right? We talked about the truck thing. I got a new truck. Like if somebody actually was like, oh, hey, that's a super cool truck. And I was just like, whatever. And I don't respond. Like that's a dick move. Yeah. So I think people need to get way more social and be less focused on media. Quite honestly, it doesn't matter. Like there's a saying, right? Nobody cares what you have to say until they know how much you care. So you could post whatever cool shit you want. Nobody cares, right? Unless they know that you care. And the best way to show people you care is to actually engage with them. So I'd love to see people take a lot of that energy they're putting into creating media and instead put it into being social and getting into conversations. When they see that their friend post a picture of their kid, you know, that they scored a goal at the soccer game, like, oh, congrats to little Timmy. You know, how many goals has he scored this season, right? We've talked about this strategy called answer and ask, or acknowledge and ask. So acknowledge that little Timmy scored a goal and then ask a question, right? Which shows you not only acknowledged it, but you care about the person. You asked a follow-up question. And now you're getting in a relationship with that person, and Meta's watching, and Meta's like, oh, Kyle and Brian are going back and forth about this soccer game. Right. Guess what happens next time Kyle does post media? Right? If I commented on Brian's post about the soccer game and we go back and forth a couple times, guess what? The next time I do put a post up, it's going to show it to Brian. Because it's like, Brian probably cares what Kyle has to say because, right, Brian knows that Kyle cares. So that's the key, I think, is there's too much focus right now on media and not enough focus on being social.
Yeah, that's powerful. Even me, like, I'm guilty of that, you know, when people are commenting and I forget to comment, or like I kind of just ignore it because like it's social media, it's online. It's a little bit different when you're face to face. Of course, most people are gonna respond back, you know, and say, "Oh yeah, thank you, I appreciate that." Yeah. But in social media, it's a lot easier to ignore the comments. It's a lot easier to comment negatively on social media as well, right?
Oh, for sure.
And hide behind the screen.
Yeah, but think about that, right? Even if you put a post up of a new suit you got, and somebody's like, "Oh, cool suit, Adrian." Like, one, acknowledge it, and then remember something about that person. Ask them a question. Oh, thanks so much, man. Hey, what's your favorite brand of suits or whatever? Like, just get into a conversation with people. Yeah. Right? And then that person will appreciate it, and it'll benefit you the next time you throw a post up.
Yeah, I love that. To be interesting, you got to be interested.
Yeah,
right.
100%,
you got to be,
dude.
And that's how you build rapport and make connections and build those relationships, because you make them feel good by being interested in them, genuinely interested in them, right? Yeah. By asking questions.
I've seen you do it, right? I always remember we were at JC's at a party there, and you took a phone call, and the first thing you did is you grabbed a pen and a paper out of your pocket while you were on the call, so you could write notes down while you were talking to the person, because you genuinely cared about what they had to say. And people feel that, right? Because when you write those notes down, now you're able to recap the conversation with them and say, all right, so Adrian, based on our conversation, you're looking for these areas, blah, blah, blah. You want a backyard because a little, Pepe, the puppy, like, and you remember all those details. They're like, oh, he's listening to me. He cares. He gets me. And that's the kind of person people want to work with. Yeah.
It's that 80-20 rule. I think it was a party that time. I literally ran outside. Yeah, I ran outside. Yeah. Like, where's my
ran around pen? The side of the house.
Where's my small little notepad? 100%. I was brand new at the time. I think I was like just less than a year in the team. Yeah. Speaking of the team, so one of the things that I was very impressed about with Realty when I was first looking at different brokerage firms and teams, and then different teams in EXP. One of the things that I really that stood out to me at Whissel is like the benefits that we provide for our clients, right? So like the moving truck, the free home warranty, the 12-month guarantee that we give our clients, and other benefits that we provide for them. We're not just door openers. Yeah. And I love that. I think that was like one of the things that I was looking for is like, hey, how can I provide value and help my clients even more than just opening the door. So how did you come up with those benefits? Because till this day, after 4 years, I haven't seen anybody or heard anyone, any other team or any other agent even say anything about benefits like that.
Yeah. So there's two parts to that. One, a lot of people are already doing some unique things. They just don't effectively market it. So one of the things we did is we took the things that we do, packaged it up, gave it a name, and now it starts to become something. But if you're like, oh, well, if you work with me, I'm going to do this and this and this, that's one thing. But if you say, hey, if you list your home with me, we're going to execute our 7-day listing launch, or we have our VIP buyer program, or right, all these things where we give everything a name, it starts to have significance when you actually name things. So I think a lot of people should just go back and look at everything they do when they work with a buyer, everything they do when they work with a seller, everything they do, right? We call it the Whissel way, like give everything a name, and it starts to have more significance. And then ideally you trademark whatever you name something, so then nobody else can use it. It also sounds pretty cool when you meet with a client. You're like, oh, we have our trademarked 7-day listing launch program. All right, you guys are watching this, like you can't use it, sorry. We have that shit trademarked.
True story.
But, I learned it from Dan, who's one of my partners at EXP. Is like he trademarked something he calls his the 5-day blitz. And so I learned that from him. I was like, that's freaking brilliant. So one is just package up what you're already doing. But then two, come up with something more than like, if you're working with a buyer, it's like, I'm going to help you find a home, I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to get you under contract. Like that's kind of your job, isn't it? So then I'm always thinking about like, what can we do that's unique that other people, or the majority of other people don't do? So things like the moving truck, guaranteeing a home warranty, guaranteeing a free appraisal, those things that most other people won't do. And, another thing Dan says is like, if your marketing doesn't make you a little bit uncomfortable, then you're not marketing.
Doing it right.
Yeah. Like your marketing should, when you put these offers out that like our 12-month love it or leave it guarantee, like if you buy a home, you're not happy with it, we'll sell it for free. Like that's a little uncomfortable, makes you feel a little weird, right?
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, then it might not be strong enough marketing.
Yeah, I love that. So let's go back to you a little bit more as far as like your feelings.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I noticed about you when I first met you, you never really took credit for a lot of the things that you've done for agents and for the company. And that's something that I really admire you on. Like you're super humble, you have humility, you're willing to ask questions. Right now you're in the development side of the business and you're learning a lot from other people that's been doing that for a while. So were you always like that? Like as far as being humble, like you just never like a cocky person? Like,
I mean, probably when I was a teenage boy, I was probably pretty cocky playing sports. Like I was always really good at sports. So I'm sure I was really cocky back then. Anybody who knew me when I was a teenage boy, I probably would say that I was a lot more cocky then. But
that's the testosterone, man.
Yeah, cocky doesn't get you very far in business. And so I've just, I truly love the Zig Ziglar quote that you can have anything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want. That is like to the core who I am. And I think it's what's allowed me to excel as a team leader. Is it's not just like something that people say. Like I believe that to the core and I get a high off of that. And I think that's what's allowed me to do well as a leader and create this environment where people like, you can do $1 million in GCI is because I obsess all day, every day about helping people win. And it's like, it's cool to win on your own, but it's way more cool to win with your friends. Yeah. And so I love watching you win and I get to win with you. And that just fills my freaking cup and that gives me a big high. And I see a lot of other people like start teams and they don't have that same mindset. And I think it's why the majority of team leaders out there are struggling because that's not who they are. Yeah. They think that like, if I start a team, I just get to make more money. And like, that's not the right mindset to have. Like if it doesn't fill your cup and make you feel fulfilled and make you happy to help other people succeed, then running a team might not be for you. If you're just, it's me, I, like that mindset's just not going to work as a team leader. Just stay a solo producer, maybe get a couple assistants and help you. But to try to run a team, if that's not who you are to the core, I think it's just a matter of time before the house of cards falls down.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's funny because just about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, like we announced that we were the number one EXP team globally. And you were in the back. You weren't really like in the front announcing that. You weren't like rah rah rah. And you've never been like that before. But so that being said, knowing that hey, we were number one EXP team 2024. Like, how do you feel like behind closed doors? Like, how do you feel about that? Like between me and you, as if like no one's listening right now. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I have two feelings. One, it's surreal, right? I mean, there's like, I think we finished the year just under 83,000 agents in 25 countries. So to be number one out of that is crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy to think that out of that many people across that many countries to be there. And then I fucking hate it too. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't like to be number one. I'm like a dog running around the track. Like, I need a rabbit to chase.
Yeah.
So at the same time, I don't like looking over my shoulder. I love having somebody ahead of me, somebody that's pushing me, something to go after, because I'm so goal oriented.
Yeah.
And it's just a growth thing, but like, there's not a target. I need somebody to chase. Now, Parker Pemberton, which cool, is somebody that we brought into the company, and he had like 12 agents when we brought him in. Now he's got like 200 agents. So he's going to give us a good run for our money. He's not really behind. He's huge. Right there neck and neck with us. But yeah, I don't like, it's weird, right? Most people are like, hey, we're number one. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to be number one. I don't want to look behind me. I want to look in front of me. Yeah. So I have some weird feelings about it. Because I always want to keep growing, and I like having somebody to chase. I like to have somebody ahead of me, like in the development space. I joined a group called Boardroom because I want to see what the guys who've been doing this for 20 years are doing, because I can chase them, right? Mm-hmm. That's what's possible, and I want to keep going. So I like that. So obviously now I just have to not only worry about Parker, but I got to look outside of EXP, right, to try to push up. Real Trends will have their charts come out soon. So it's like I got to look at those now and try to climb those charts to get to number one out of all the brokerages, not just our brokerage. But I need that. Because if I could see what's possible, like I know it's right. It's like a 4-minute mile thing. Like once that guy ran the 4-minute mile, everybody could do it. So if 1,000 deals is possible, if somebody else can do 1,000, I know we can do 1,000, and boom, that's how my brain works.
Dude, we're like totally the same. Like that's how my brain works. It's funny because you say that. When I became your top producer 2 years ago, I was like, now what?
If you want, I'll start producing again, bro. We'll go head to head. Like, if Parker gets too close, I might have to jump in there.
Yeah. Hey, I like the competition. But yeah, I was the same way. And then I kept going. I kept going. So what I started doing, okay, so there's nobody else to chase here at Whissel Realty. I started looking at other brokerage firms, and then I actually asked my title rep to print out the top individual agents. And I started looking at those guys, and I'm like, okay, well, I need to chase this person. Yeah. I had like a kill list, like, all right, boom, check that, got him next. And then being in EOA now, right, in the BNI chapter that I'm in, like it's a competition for me, right? Like, okay, who's giving the most referrals and all that stuff, and same thing with the EO. It's like, okay, who's got it's like for me, I'm super competitive, just like you, and I always want someone to chase or that rabbit, but it's really hard to keep that motivation to keep going when you're at the top. It's really hard to get to the top, but then when you're at the top, it's even harder to stay at the top, because you lose that motivation.
Totally.
Yeah. Awesome. How much more time we got?
One
more question?
One more, yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll wrap up.
Well, I guess you got anything else to say? I mean, I don't really have a question for you.
What do you think? Let's flip it. What do you think has made you number one in the company? Mm-hmm. I shared what I think. What do you make somebody number one? But what's gotten you there? Like, if you narrowed it down to maybe one or two things, like, what do you think it is?
I think it's a two-way street, right? I think for me, when I joined Whissel Realty, I had really strong motivation, and I was eager to learn. So I had that. I was willing to learn and soak up the knowledge, and also work really hard. And then I always stayed positive because I surround myself with positive people. And then the other part is the playbook that you guys provide, which is the Whissel Way, right? So having the right systems, the resources, the tools, but also the mentor that I was looking for, someone who was currently producing right now. Mm-hmm. So you add those things, the ability for me to shadow and surround myself with, JC when I first started, and then having the right systems in place. And then my part was just, hey, I need to be coachable. I got to work hard than everybody else. So you combine those two things, right? Like the systems, the mentors, the right mentor, and then the right attitude. I think that's one of the reasons why, I'm your top producer now. And consistency, I think just being disciplined and being consistent for a long period of time. Yeah. And being comfortable with the boring, being comfortable being uncomfortable, and just master the boring, the mundane. So I know that was a long answer, but yeah.
I love it, man. Cool. Well, we're going to jump into our widget of the week here, which hopefully you're ready for. But before we do, if you guys got value out of the show today, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Let YouTube know. If you got a question for Adrian or me, throw it in the comments section. If you want more of our content, hit the thumbs up button, as well as the little notification bell, so you get notified when we drop new episodes. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure to subscribe to the show and write a quick little review. I don't care if it's one sentence, one paragraph, or a million words. Write a little review. Those reviews mean the world to us. They go a long way in the podcast world, so it'd be greatly appreciated. Before we wrap the show, Adrian, we're going to do something we call the Whissel Widget of the Week. This is something we utilize in our business. It saves us time, makes us more money, or just helps us have a little bit more fun. What do you got for us today?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of FUB, Follow Up Boss.
Okay.
I use that thing every single day. That's where all my clients are at. And friends and families are looking to buy and sell. So that's the key, right? They're open to looking to buy and sell. I just use that software on my computer. I track everything there. It's a CRM, one of the best, if not the best CRM out there. And it just helped me be organized, know when to reach out to my clients based on their timeline, and I'm able to see the whole history of them, how many homes they bought, the notes, the conversations, and it helps me a lot to be organized because I'm so unorganized person individual, and so I think FUB would be my widget for today.
Cool. Mine is going to be a little strategy when you guys are buying cars, because I just bought two. When you're in a car negotiation, the most profitable thing in a car sale is not the car. It's all the add-ons that they add on top of it. You need to understand that all warranties and insurance policies all can be canceled at any time and can be fully refunded, or at least refunded pro rata. So when you're in a car negotiation, if you want to get the price of the car down, agree to buy all this bullshit that they want to sell you. I think they sold me like a dent guard and scratch guard. I don't know, some dumb shit that I don't need. Mm-hmm. But they add that stuff in there because it's high margin, and then you're able to drive the price down by accepting these things that are high margin for them. And then you could just cancel them whenever you want to.
Oh, interesting.
So if you want to get a better deal on a car, agree to some of these things so that they will drive the price down. And then you could just, maybe if you don't want those things, maybe you don't want dent guard, and you can go cancel it and get the money back for it. But they can't change the price of the car after the deal's done. So you just go back and cancel these insurance policy warranty things that they piled on there that you agreed to, but that got the price driven down, and then you go back and get those things refunded after the fact.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did ChatGPT tell you that?
No, I just been in the game for a while. I bought and sold a few cars in my life. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Whissel Way podcast. We'll see you next time.